Good morning, folks. Welcome to the Banks Account. I am your host, Kareem Banks, and welcome to Week 5 of the National Football League. I got a little guy in the background. I don't know if you see him or not. That's A Money back there. So he's just making a little appearance. He just wanted to get some shine. So I let him get on here. You just keep quiet. All right, so now let's get into things. I want to apologize that I did not get into last week's recap last week for Week 4. To be honest with you, it probably wouldn't have served any purpose because it would have been a profanity-laced tirade directed at Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers for that just awful performance against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week. Pretty disgusted with it. Nevertheless, I am over it. Not fully, but hopefully a win today will fully get me over that debacle last week at Heinz Field. But let's get into things and let's get things going. Get a little theme music going. Now, let's start with the local football team. We got the 2-2 New York Football Giants hosting the 2-2 Atlanta Falcons. Giants are giving 4 points in this game. Listen, Atlanta is extremely inconsistent at this point. Their defense is bad. They don't play well away from home. They remind me of the old Kansas City Chiefs. You all remember Trent Green and the Chiefs in the early part of the decade of the 2000s where they had Tony Gonzalez and Priest Holmes. They were scoring all those points, but the defense absolutely stunk. That's what this Atlanta team reminds me of. And they're inconsistent on the road. The Giants are playing much better. I got on their case early in the season, but I must say they're playing some good football right now. They destroyed Washington about 10 days ago. Take the New York Football Giants, give the 4 points at home against the Atlanta Falcons. We got the 3-1 Philadelphia Eagles. They're hosting the 1-2 St. Louis Rams. I mean, listen, there's just not much going on out there in St. Louis. The defense has not lived up to its expectations. The offense has been derailed with the quarterback situation, the inconsistent quarterback play. They got a young quarterback. He's decent, but he's going to have his growing curves. On the flip side, Philadelphia, they're coming off an outing where they scored 0 offensive points. 0 offensive points out there in San Francisco. They did generate 21 Norris points. I think they'll get some more Norris points this week. And I think they score more points. I think they win big. Take Philadelphia safe. Give the 6.5 against the St. Louis Rams. The 1-3, the surprising 1-3 New Orleans Saints are at home against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, the Saints are given 10 points in this football game. Now, New Orleans is very inconsistent also at this stage. They're not scoring the points that we're accustomed to. Looking at the landscape, Tampa Bay, I don't know how they pulled off that game last week against the Steelers. Nevertheless, they did. This is a division matchup. Division games are generally close. 10-point spread. New Orleans will win, but I think Tampa can keep it close. Take Tampa getting the 10. They will not win the game, but I think they keep it close. Take Tampa and the 10 points. The Dallas Cowboys, the 3-1 Dallas Cowboys, are at home hosting the 3-1 Houston Texans. Now, listen, no one is more surprised at the start of the Dallas Cowboys than I. In fact, their defense is pretty good. We thought their defense was an absolute joke. It was the laughingstock of the National Football League a year ago, but their defense is balling right now. Tony Romo, he's not turning the football over. They are running the football with DeMarco Murray. Their offensive line is solid. It looks reminiscent of the old 90s Cowboys offense. I'm not going to say they're that good, but they have the potential to be that good. Those guys are mauling opponents out there on the offensive line. I like what they're doing in Dallas, must say. Take Dallas. They should be able to win this football game. Fitzpatrick will turn the football over a couple times. I think they'll neutralize J.J. Watt. Take Dallas. Give the 6.5 points against the Houston Texans. Moving on. We got the Detroit Lions. Let's see. Detroit Lions are hosting the Buffalo Bills. The 3-1 Detroit Lions hosting the 2-2 Buffalo Bills. Now, listen, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on Detroit right now. Detroit, in my opinion, my humble opinion, it appears that they are growing up. And what I mean by that is they seem to have the look of a mature team at this point. You know, in previous years, yeah, they were entertaining. They threw the football around. They scored a lot of points, Calvin Johnson, all that stuff. But they always found ways to lose games. That's not happening this year. We saw them earlier. They neutralized Aaron Rodgers. We saw them last week go on the road and beat a tough New York Jet team in their building. That's something that wouldn't happen in years past. And I attribute that to their head coach. A team tends to take on the identity of their coach. Jimmy Caldwell is doing a solid job, a fine job out there in Detroit up until this point. Now, if you recall, Jimmy Caldwell, he was the architect of that Colts offense. I know it was Peyton Manning, but if you remember, Caldwell was the old coordinator out there when Peyton Manning was slaughtering the league, going 15-1 every year. And you also remember that Jimmy Caldwell was the offensive coordinator for the Baltimore Football Ravens when they finally got over the hump and won the Super Bowl. I'm not suggesting at this point Detroit is going to win the Super Bowl, but they are not going to be an easy out. Take the Lions, give the 6.5 over Buffalo. By the way, Buffalo, I told you guys a couple weeks ago that Buffalo was going to turn on E.J. Manuel, and they did. Kyle Orton gets the start out there in Buffalo. Doesn't matter. Take Detroit. The Indianapolis Colts, the 2-2 Indianapolis Colts, giving 3.5 against Baltimore. Listen, I think Baltimore is playing some sound football right now. They're running the ball well. Their defense is sound. Indianapolis is on a roll. They started out sluggish, but they're starting to get their rhythm back. They're at home. Luck comfortable. I think he gets it done today. Take the Colts. Give the 3.5. Take Indianapolis. The 2-1 Denver Broncos are hosting the 3-0 Arizona Cardinals. Now, that 3-0 Arizona record is not a mirage. They are that good. But I think they're going to struggle today out there in Mile High. I don't like Drew Stanton versus that Bronco pass rush. That in conjunction, Peyton Manning's had a week off, 2 weeks to study for you guys. I think it's safe to take Denver in this football game. Give the 7.5. Take Denver to give Arizona their first loss. The San Francisco 49ers, the 2-2 San Francisco 49ers hosting the 2-2 Kansas City Chiefs. This is going to be a pretty good football game in my opinion. Kansas City coming off a big win on Monday night against the New England Patriots. San Francisco also coming off a huge win over Philly, a game in which they gave up 0 points on defense. So it's going to be a low-scoring affair. Alex Smith's return to San Francisco, it might be a little old, but, his first game back against his former team, I'm sure he's going to want to prove something. So I think it's going to come down to Smith versus Kaepernick, and we all know that Kaepernick is turnover-prone. Alex does not turn the football over. Having said all of that, that's my upset special. Take the Kansas City Chiefs to win on the road at San Francisco. Pittsburgh Steelers, 2-2 Pittsburgh Steelers, giving 6 on the road against the 0-3 Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, again, nothing much going on in Jacksonville. They're a terrible football team right now. I mean, they got Bortles. Blake Bortles going to be getting his first home start. Pittsburgh, on the hand, coming off just a terrible loss against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, it was a game where we started out slow. We kind of got our rhythm back, but didn't put these guys away. And I don't know. I mean, there's a combination of things going on with these guys. Offensively, they're not doing enough. They gotta score a lot of points to win because defensively, they're just not that good this year. Now, I don't know if it's the scheme of Dick LeBeau, whether it's a complicated scheme where it takes 2, 3, 4 years to really master that thing and understand your role and where you're supposed to be on the field, or if the game has passed Dick LeBeau. But the defense right now absolutely stinks. It absolutely stinks. I don't think it is the latter of the two, that the game has passed LeBeau. But either way you look at it, you might need to start looking at some changes in Pittsburgh. I know that's like sacrilege when we're talking about getting rid of Dick LeBeau. But the bottom line is something has to change, and something has to change fast. Mike Tomlin, listen, I know Pittsburgh has only had, 2 or 3 coaches in their 40 years since the 70s, and they generally give their coaches a long, what's the word I'm looking for? A long leash, if you will, to get things turned around. Mike, you might not get that long of a time to get these things turned around, if you know what I mean. Because there's certain elements, you all know what I'm talking about. They'll get you out of there. We got to win today. I think they're going to respond. Take Pittsburgh, give the 6 to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think I missed one earlier. I think we missed I think that's everything. We got tomorrow night's game, the Seattle Seahawks and the Washington Redskins. Seattle is giving 7 at Washington. Cousins struggled 4 picks 10 days ago against the New York Giants. Look for a little more of that against an even better defensive team, the Seattle Seahawks. I think they've had 10 days. Seattle coming off a bye. Russell Wilson, I think he'll play well. I think it's safe to take Seattle. Give the 7 points. I think they'll be able to cover against the Washington Redskins. And I think that's pretty much it. Those are my picks. We'll see you tomorrow or maybe later on this evening to give this week's recap. You got anything you want to say? All right. Anyway, we'll see you next week. Actually, we'll see you tomorrow for tomorrow's recap of today's games.